Thanks. As Minister of Justice and Public Safety, my name is John Hogan. I'm also the MHA for the District of Windsor Lake. It's my pleasure to welcome you all here today for this very important announcement. I'm so thrilled to be doing it here at McMorran in Windsor Lake, as I said. With us this afternoon, we have my colleague, the Honourable John G. Abbott, Minister of Children, Seniors and Social Development, who will lead today's announcement. Also, a special welcome to Kim White, Executive Director of Froud Avenue Community Centre, who's here today as well to say a few words. I also want to take the time today and the opportunity to thank McMorran Community Centre and Jim Crockwell, the Executive Director, and the entire team for hosting us. As well, thank you for the incredible work you and your team do, Jim, along with all the other community partners throughout the city and the province who are here with us this afternoon. Now, it is my pleasure to invite Minister Abbott to come forward and make today's announcement.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. And likewise, thanks, folks, for coming out. And it's a very cool, cold day out there, so glad you could all come inside. Even got my little tweed jacket on here today, and I'm roasting already. So, certainly, as Minister of Children, Seniors and Social Development, certainly my pleasure to be here. And with Kim to talk about what we're here to talk about today, which is around our new social and economic well-being plan. And we've had representatives from the community here, and I think you're going to be significant drivers of what we want to achieve. And so for that, I'm thankful for you to be here. All of us play a major and significant leadership role in supporting individuals, families, and communities here in the province. And what we want to achieve, I think, is want to be achieved by all, which is improved social and economic well-being. And as a government, we remain committed to developing a renewed approach to addressing poverty, and is particularly in light of what is happening with cost of living. But we want to also focus on prevention and early intervention to improve and to achieve social and economic well-being for our children, our youth, our families now and for generations to come. Now, given the close link between reducing poverty and increasing well-being, we are taking a quote-unquote well-being approach to our work through the development of a social and economic well-being plan. This plan will add to the work that is being done throughout the government regarding other aspects of well-being, whether it's physical well-being, mental health well-being, or environmental well-being. And today, I am pleased to announce the launch of an engagement process that will help inform the development of the province's first social and economic well-being plan. And we have already gone live to start the process, literally as we came in here today. Now, for many of you, you know this. Based on both research and through engagement, we will be developing and implementing actions to improve the social and economic well-being of all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. This work will include a focus on the social determinants of health, i.e. those non-medical factors that impact our health and well-being as recommended by Health Accord NL. Now, Health Accord NL was established to develop a 10-year Health Accord. We have received their report. And one key element of the Health Accord's final report is that we can improve the health for Newfoundlanders and Labradorians by making changes in the social, economic, environmental conditions that affect our health. And again, I think all of us in this room understand and fully, I think, support that approach. What we want to do now is move from words to, obviously, actions. So with a focus on the social determinants of health, as well as poverty reduction and prevention and early intervention, This new engagement process will help to inform the development of a holistic and integrated social and economic well-being plan. This engagement process will also inform a review of the provincial income support program and help support the development of a new provincial housing and homelessness plan. So rather than go out on multiple tracks, we felt that it was important and I think wise to bring these approaches together because they do intersect. And this plan will be broader in approach than the previous poverty reduction strategy, which in its own right was a very successful approach to reducing poverty in this province, and I had the privilege of being involved in that in the past. And our new approach will also be key in supporting the vision of the Health Accord by helping to address the social and economic well-being of all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians that fundamentally have the greatest impact on health. We know our well-being begins before we are born and continues throughout our lives. As we all know, what happens in our early years of life can affect and does affect our long-term well-being. It is also possible that our well-being can change throughout our lives depending what is happening around us. That is why we are proposing a life cycle approach to developing this work, looking at what we need at various stages of life to foster strong well-being. To do this, the engagement process will focus on 6 key components that impact social and economic well-being for us. These include the early years, education, income and benefits, food security, housing, and community. The engagement process will provide key stakeholders such as community organizations, many of which are represented here, local governments throughout the province, and experts, whether at Memorial or elsewhere, including, and most importantly though, the people we know with lived experience. And we want to provide them with the greatest opportunity to share their thoughts and perspectives to help inform the development of our plan. And this process will consist of a variety of methods, so all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians will have the opportunity to participate. These methods include virtual and in-person consultations, many were again familiar with that, stakeholder roundtable discussions, as well as online questionnaires that will start this week for both individuals and community organizations through Engage NL. Michelle, you can rest easy now. We can take away this week. We can actually say that it starts now. She was a bit nervous about us before this morning. But the deadline to complete the online questionnaire is October 3rd, 2022. I just want to show you, this gives you an idea of the discussion guide that has been developed. So obviously some background, but again, some of the key elements, and then some open-ended questions to really get a full discussion. And obviously we'll developing our reports and what we heard from those, and then help feed into our decision-making processes in government this fall, this winter, and subsequently. I certainly look forward to hearing from the community, our partners, all groups and organizations, and individuals with lived experience, and all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians as we strive to create a province where people experience the greatest level of social and economic well-being, and that is in our grasp. And before I conclude, I want to take this opportunity to encourage everybody who's listening in this room and outside to contribute and participate in this important engagement process. Whether you attend in session in person or complete an online questionnaire, your input and advice will be valued and greatly appreciated. The contributions that will be made will help inform the first social and economic well-being plan for the province, which will ultimately help all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians have opportunities to grow, to learn, and to be happy. If all goes according to plan, and we've had lots of plans already this week and they're all gone astray, I hope to be able to release our social and economic well-being plan early in 2023, and by working together, I am confident we can achieve this. Thank you for being here today, folks. Now, I'll pass it back to John.
Thank you, Minister Abbott. And as you said, social and economic well-being plan will focus on the social determinants of health and poverty reduction. And there is a connection between these determinants of health and poverty rates and people's involvement in the criminal justice system. So as Minister of Justice and Public Safety, I very much look forward to the well-being plan that will seek to reduce poverty and improve overall well-being to help people stay out of the criminal justice system in this province. We will now hear from Kim White, Executive Director, Froude Avenue Community Centre. Kim?
Good afternoon, everyone. It's great to be back to McMorran. I used to be here in my office when I was with CCA, so it's like coming back home. And Jim, I think that's your cell phone right there on the table that's beeping by me. So if any calls come in, it's not my phone.
It's a bill collector. That's all right.
But good afternoon, and thank you, Minister Hogan and Minister Abbott, for this opportunity today. For those of you who don't know me personally, I'm from Twillingate, and in Twillingate we drop in at our H's quite regularly. So you can't imagine how much I had to practice over the weekend to not mess up the ministers' names. I think it was a little bit of a test for me, but I think I passed, maybe. Hogan, Abbott, I never know. I can't tell the difference. So McMorran crew are laughing in the corner about that. It's a lot of jokes made about that dropping of the adding in H's. So, but all jokes aside, over the weekend I did think a lot about today's launch, thinking about how important this engagement process is for our province and how important this social and economic well-being plan will be. I thought about how important it will be for this process to be inclusive and supportive process to ensure the voices of individuals and families who have lived experience can be heard. People who have stories to tell about the barriers they have encountered and the impact this has had on their social and economic well-being and the domino effect this has had for them. As Minister Abbott mentioned, the impacts on education, health, housing, and the list goes on. I thought about how important these stories are because they will be the basis for a strong and effective social and economic well-being plan because the solutions lie in the stories. And in thinking about this, I was taken back to 1995 when I began working in literacy, and I was quite young then and quite new to community. But that was back in a time when I met two incredible men, two grown men who at the time were in their early 40s, who were brave enough to come and stand in front of people in rooms like this and talk about how they were learning to read and write. And more importantly, talk about why they had not learned to read and write through their childhood and throughout their years in school. Sharing information about the circumstances and barriers that shaped that reality for them. I listened to their stories. I listened and I learned how many, many times it is those circumstances and those barriers and that domino effect that create the realities that do not support social or economic well-being for folks. I tried to always lift up people's stories and help others learn and understand about systems and attitudes that create these barriers, and to understand how we can do things differently in our world, how we can do things better if we focus on removing these barriers. Because in reality, we can choose to change both our systems and our attitudes. I really started at that point to understand that people's stories need to be heard because I know stories are the realities of what the situations are. They are the reality about where the barriers truly lie, and they hold the information about where the changes need to be. As I said, the solutions are in the stories. And that brings me back to today. And my role here in speaking today is to remind everyone that we need to create appropriate opportunities and safe places for individuals and families with lived experience to be heard. And once we hear these stories, we need to listen to them, and we need to learn from them. We need to understand them and act on this knowledge and learning and let it be reflected in our social and economic well-being plan. So as Executive Director of Froude Avenue Community Centre, which has a long-standing history of supporting people in our neighborhood, we will do that work to support voices from folks in our neighborhood. And we ask that collectively, as community organizations and agencies and just individual people, in the coming weeks that we focus on supporting people who have lived experience to add that voice in a safe, confidential, and dignified manner. And today I want to thank in advance anyone who shares their stories throughout the engagement process. I want to thank you for your bravery because these stories are not always easy to tell. But your stories are important because a responsive and effective social and economic well-being plan will only come from those stories. And we collectively must listen and learn from them. It will be this knowledge and understanding that will bring our province forward in this very challenging time. It is exciting to know, as Minister Abbott indicated, that this social and economic well-being plan will build on the recently released Health Accord, and it will lift up all those social determinants of health. It will focus on early intervention and prevention, and it's exciting to know the plan will include a very important review of the income support program. I look forward to seeing this strong, supportive, and inclusive engagement process bring forward a strong and inclusive and supportive social and economic well-being plan, a plan that will ensure an equitable and bright future for all of the people of our province. So I want to thank you once again, Minister Hogan, Minister Abbott, for this opportunity, and thank you to everybody who joined us here today. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. If it makes it easier, you can just call us John. We're both Johns.
Yeah, John times two.
Yeah. Thanks, Kim. And just to reiterate, as a government, we are committed to addressing the needs of the people of this province and prioritizing the perspectives of those with lived experiences. And today's announcement demonstrates that commitment and supports the recommendation of the Health Accord to deliver better social and economic outcomes for all Newfoundlanders and Labradorians. So I want to thank everyone once again for being here. Thanks, Kim and Minister Abbott. And it wouldn't be an announcement without a picture. So I've been told to ask all our community partners to come up for a photograph to end the announcement today. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay.